Howdy, y'all. This is Thomas here. Bringing some news and some eyeballs to this bullish catalyst for the uranium sector. There's a bipartisan movement in Congress to ban uranium imports from Russia. And to get set up a reserve fund for domestic production. We have seen the U.S. equity and even the Canadians, really almost all the uranium equities have been on a tear, except Kazanaprom, because it's a Kazakhstan, but it's so closely tied to Russia in the eyes of investors and the world. So theirs is still undervalued, even though they're a large position in so many ETFs, because they are the world's largest producer of uranium. So they are a major major holding in the ETFs. So if we see the Kazakhstan Kazanaprom move significantly to the upside, we'll definitely that will be reflected in the share price of the ETFs. So something to keep your eyes on. Interesting to see what Sprott does. I believe they'll get that 50% vote to be able to purchase the URNM ETF, which is really retail held. So good to hear about that, and good to see that and see what happens. Only problem with a whole bunch of smaller investors is they might set and forget and not pay attention to their investments, and then miss out on an opportunity to improve their their investments by sorry about that, by voting on things, so kind of like a Dow alarm clock. So yeah, this is bipartisan. They got the a Republican from Minnesota, a Republican. They got they got some Democrats, and yeah, interesting that the head of the energy committee, the gentleman from Wyoming, is not on here, but this goes just to show, as I've previously been stating in other videos, that that the call for action on the uranium, domestic uranium supply, is become bipartisan, and both sides are taking it seriously. So that's definitely a bullish case for domestic supply. There are some arguments against it, and I always recommend checking out some arguments against it. When I'm doing due diligence, I like to find pros and cons. I actively search out holes in the thesis, which I really suggest you do. That way you don't just got your blinders all on and run over a cliff, or don't realize that there is potential for potholes and things like that. So that's definitely a factor. Some people are saying that it's just that the uranium sector is looking to exploit the government on in crisis, the war on Ukraine, and exploiting that to get government subsidies. So you might agree, you might disagree, but definitely some interesting news. If you are a uranium investor, then keep your eyes peeled on it, because it will affect the market, and especially in the short term. So these are some of the fundamentals of the uranium sector, that prove they kind of prove that it's heading in a positive direction. in terms of price. So a common, the common argument is here. It's right here. It says it's more important now than ever for the United States to achieve mineral dominance to secure our energy supply chain needs. The congressman said, by banning uranium imports from Russia, we can stop funding for Putin's brutal war against Ukraine, create jobs for American workers, and secure our national defense. There are some backlash, specifically around the uranium mines around the Grand Canyon. So we'll slide that. Let's go Packers. Slide that out of the way and continue. Um, so yeah, this is like I said, uranium is a major player in the energy sector for the United States. It's interesting because there's conflict actually between what the producers and the miners of uranium are saying, what the congressmen are kind of pushing for. These congressmen, there is, like I said, that movement is growing in Congress. But there also is the environmentalist side that is pushing back on the uranium, and saying that we have ample supply. And so it's just interesting, to see the kind of dynamics and the way that the public perception and sentiment has shifted and is continuously a moving landscape in terms of uranium. So it's just something just to keep your eyes on. So yeah, this Congressman Gonzalez here is pushing the U.S. has the resources and capacity to produce uranium here at home and should no longer rely on foreign dictators. That's the Congressman Gonzalez. The U.S. must continue to cut off Putin's war chest whenever possible and support President Zelensky. So there's their that's their selling point. They're going to use that as the selling point to push for this. And let's scroll down here because this is an interesting paragraph here, because this has Scott Melby. For some reason, I always want to call him Maccabee, but we have. I mean, if you're familiar with the uranium sector, you have heard of him before. He's tied up with UROI. We covered UROI previously on the channel. I think I'm going to do an update on that one because there's been some consolidation in the price, and the royalty sector, that uranium royalty, is changing the landscape. So interesting to see. I'm not sure how many of y'all are familiar with that. Y'all should go check that out if you're unfamiliar with royalty used as a vehicle for mining investing. That's been that's been established, has a proven track record. Not the UROI, but the royalty in the mining sector. So that's interesting stuff. But he also works with Uranium Energy Corps, UEC, which definitely has seen some major gains and is continuously seeing price action. I think it's become it's really one of the main street uranium stocks. It has some of the biggest publicity. The CEO Amir is great at marketing. He speaks well when he's on stage and in interviews. So this is interesting stuff. It says right here, Russia has cultivated American reliance on Russian nuclear fuel for some time, posing a dangerous threat to our energy and national security, and has taken on new urgency. And so so that's this is the use the use case for the banning. So there you got the CEO coming out there, not the CEO of that. He's the executive vice president. But here's the president and CEO of National Mining Association, um, Rich Nolan. I'm sure he's rich, and he speaks on. He also is pro nuclear and speaks on the independence, the energy independence that's important for national security. So uh, they will be meeting soon to speak on that. Interesting if it's if it's a buy the rumor sell the news event, or the or the news is so bullish that even the news is going to be a buy the news event, and prove to the institutional investors that have been sitting on the sidelines, or kind of just tipping in that the bull run is the super cycle is for real. Uranium spot price is not taking out the all-time highs for over a decade. So definitely a long way to go to knock out those all-time highs adjusted for inflation. So um, yeah, some analysts are calling for 200 spot price uranium. So we'll see. Uranium is not something that can just be turned on and off like a light switch. So there will be some definitely more producers coming online, but it's not going to be you can't produce that quickly. So that's interesting. To see what kind of supply chain bottlenecks and just just the way this is all going to unfold. Very few uranium companies out there, so we'll see how many smaller ones are going to start popping up, um, and and keep our eyes peeled, looking for I'm looking for sound good investments. Definitely, you know thankfully I enjoy research. Hopefully y'all do enjoy due diligence as well, because that's what I try to bring um, to this channel, and to give you some type of background knowledge and some information, some some factors that could influence your decision making, or better, just to give you better information on your decision making is huge, um, in terms of investing, instead of just looking at a line graph and buying what your friend told you to buy. So definitely like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Give me a comment. Let me know if you found this useful. Like I said, keep your eyes peeled. The vote's coming soon. So yeah, keep your I'm just going to continue to keep my finger on the pulse and see what happens. Yeah, get eat those dividends. All right, see you on the next one.